Right, so we're going to talk about working with master pages. Master pages are an essential part of working in InDesign. They're such a helpful, useful thing. My 20-year-old students are like, I don't get it, but they haven't had to make, a 20-page anything before and have it look decent and be print ready and professional in a short amount of time. So they don't understand how master pages can help them. I'm going to show you a little bit about them, and I think you're going to learn to really appreciate them. So master page definition. They are pages that contain elements that are repeated on all the document pages. They allow you to place an object or a text frame on them and have it appear on all the document pages that have that master applied to them. So it's sort of like a template that you build your document pages on. They're most often used for page numbers, running headers or footers, guidelines, and columns. Do not put any content on the master pages. Master pages do not print. You can tell them to, but they don't print. Your document pages are where your content goes, and that's where you print. That's what you print. That's what's going to come out when you say print, please. So let's look at this document a little bit. Right now, 2 and 3 are based on the A master. 4 and 5 are also based on the A master. And looking at them, I see only margins and a little thing at the bottom that has like 0, 0, 0. This is a folio. Okay, and folio is an old-fashioned word. It's now reserved for digital magazines, digital publications. It means something different. But typically you'll see a running footer on a magazine. So it either says what the issue date is, or it says what the book or the magazine is called, or it says your web address or something like that. But there's usually typically a footer of some sort that goes on and on. We don't see any content. We don't see any graphics or anything like that. The only time you would put a graphic on a master page is if it's a background image that's going to be used on every page. So maybe it looks like old paper or something. You want that in the background, or it's a gradient that you've got in there. Then you want to put that on the master, but for the most part, you don't put content on the master. All right, let's look in our Pages panel, and we're going to double click on the A master name to go there and see the same thing we saw in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. But here we can select things and make changes. So my first change is going to be to get that page number off of the bottom margin. So I'm going to click with my regular selection tool on the left text frame. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to click on the right text frame. So they're both selected. And I'm going to use my down arrow key to bump it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. That was one of the preferences we set up, was 1-point increments when we use those arrow keys. And then I'm just going to click away. Okay, it's moved. I could put column measurements in here, but if you're like me, I get really bored with one column arrangement. So I like to have differing column arrangements, and I'll show you that in just a second. So I typically just go with margins and page numbers on my A master, and Adobe will recommend the same. Put very simple things on the A master. Base all of your other masters on the A master. Why would I want to do that? Well, auto page numbering for one. Anytime you move pages around in your document area, they automatically change the page number for you. That's kind of a cool thing. Saves a lot of headaches. there's lots of reasons to use it. It's going to work out really well for you. Just trust me on this one. Okay, we're going to fix what it says in the boxes, and we're going to set up auto page numbering. Oh, I suppose if you have a running footer, I'll show you in a second, if we put an issue date in there, you're going to want to update that in one place and not every place that it exists. If you put it on the A master and base everything else on the A master, then you only have to change it on the A master and it'll work everywhere. All right, I'm going to get my zoom tool so I can get close to this text frame on the lower left side. And I'm going to select my type tool. Let's highlight the 000. Now this has been formatted already. So I can tell because in my control bar it says Times New Roman, bold, 10 point over 12 point leading. So it's been formatted already. This is what my page numbers are going to look like when they print from the book. Never design page numbers based on the number 1. It's the only skinny number there is. Use something more robust like a 0, an 8, a 6, or a 9. Even a 2 would work. Okay. Highlight those 3 zeros. Now I'm going to give you a chance to write this down because it's not easy to follow. Under the Type pull-down menu, insert special character towards the bottom. And is that right? Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry. It's hard to find. That's why I take my time here. Type, insert special character, markers, and then current page number. There is a keyboard shortcut right here. It's like use all of the keys and N. So all of the modifier keys and N. But not everyone can remember it. So I tell you, take a screenshot, do whatever you got to do. But get this down because you're going to want to use it again and again. Current page number, I'll select it. If I'm successful, I'll see that the A master now has an A in place of my page number. For the folio, I'm going to change that. It should be a running footer, but I'm going to give it a purpose. Can't seem to highlight it correctly. Let's see if that works. I'm going to call this My Magazine. My Magazine. Let's call it June, July 2021. Okay, so I've got a date on there. So my next issue, I'm going to come into my A master and I'm going to change June, July to August, September. That's how it's going to go. I need to do the same thing on the right-hand page that I just did on the left. So let's scroll over there with your type tool active. Let's highlight the 3 zeros, which are already formatted, Times New Roman bold, 10 on 12, point type. All right, let's go to our type pull-down menu. Insert special character, markers, current page number. Right, if I'm successful, there'll be an A there. Now you could certainly copy the text from the previous frame and paste it in here, but I'm just going to type it again. My Magazine, June, July 2021. All right, so now this is all set up. I've got a running footer ready to go, and I've got my automated page numbers already set up. So every page that I go to in my document area, so 2 and 3, are now going to say to My Magazine, June, July, blah, 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 and then 3, My Magazine, June, July, blah, blah, blah. So every page is going to have that now because it has the A master applied to it. 4 and 5 automatically update to show the 4 and 5 because I turned it on the A master. All right, so what does that mean if we want additional masters? Because we are going to want more than just the margins and the running footer. So if you hover with your pointer on the horizontal line between the document area and the master page area, click and drag down, you will see that there are other masters in this document. And you can have as many masters as you want. You can do an AA and a BB and a CC, and then I think you can go up to 3 A's and 3 B's and 3 C's. But always name them according to what they are. So the A master I always leave as just, it's the master. I'm basing everything on that. The B 2-column master probably has something to do with 2 columns. I'm going to double click on that one, on the title, and I get both the left and right hand page, and I see that it is based on the A master. How do I know? I look in the pages panel and I see there's an A in the upper left and right hand corner of both of those master pages. Pretty sweet. Okay, if I go in here and I look with my selection tool, there are some text frames in here. 2 text frames that are threaded together already. There's a graphic frame here. Again, there's no content. There's just these frames. They're all set, ready to go. I've got my margins. I've got some extra measurements on the page. I'm looking real good here. I like the way that this is set up. And anytime I want to use the B master, I want to use 2 columns. I just drag the B master down into the document area. Okay, so why don't I do that with some of these? If I want to apply the B master to page 2, I'm going to grab the left-hand page, drag and drop it on top of. The little grabby hand is there. And then if I go to page 2, I'll see that I now have the elements from the B master on there. Because it's based on the A master, it still had the running footer and the automated page numbering. So that worked out really well for me. Let's go to the C3 column master by double clicking on the name. We'll see that there are 3 columns type. I pre-threaded them together. Well, I threaded the left-hand page together. I think I wanted us to practice a little more on this right-hand page. Just with our regular selection tool, let's click on that lower right-hand out port. Move over to the next column, see our little link symbol, click, and we have threaded to that column. Then again, click on the lower right-hand side in the out port, and then come inside the last column, and we have threaded that together. So now when we flow text in there, it will automatically go from one column to the next. You can even set it up to go from one page to the next, from this column to that one, if you're feeling lucky and don't think you'll be putting a 2-column next to a 3-column or any other issue like that. I am noticing an issue though. If you notice at the bottom, it doesn't say the June-July issue of my magazine. It doesn't have the automated page numbers. Something's wrong here. So I'm going to look in my Pages panel, and at the C3 column master, it actually is based on B, which is based on A, but we didn't put anything on the B master for automated page numbers. So what we have to do is we have to base C on the A master. We could do that a couple of ways. Probably the easiest way I can think of is to grab the name A master and drop it on the name C master. That's the easiest way I can think of. I'm going to undo, and I'll show you another way. Okay, so I dragged and dropped it on the name. You can use the panel option menu. When you have the spread, the master spread in question selected or active, you can go into the panel option menu for master pages, And let's see, what do we want to do? I'm looking for, here, master options for a master. Why is it going to a master? Hold on. Oh, I'm still on it. Double click C3. Let's do that again. Panel option menu. Master options for C3 column master. That's what I want. And here I can tell it what to base it on. Base it on the A master. Click OK. The new improved version comes in, but some old little frames are there that we'll have to select and delete. Select and delete. And you should see a C at where the automated page numbers are and the running footer that we created earlier. So that's all fixed now, all better. Then we have D4 column master. And here I think that is based on the A master, so it's all set up there. I think what I did here was I wanted to show you another way to have numerous columns of type, but without having to thread. It's like automated threading for you. Okay, so what I have on the left is one text frame that has 4 columns assigned to it. All right, my measurements aren't going to match up. I'm not sure exactly why, but what I'm going to do, there was a text frame on the right page. I selected it. I hit delete to get rid of it. I'm going to make a new text frame with my type tool. Let's click and drag from the upper left margin all the way down to the lower right margin, all the way across the page. Top to bottom, left to right, margin to margin. Okay, so it's one big text frame. What I can do instead of threading columns together is I can assign a number of columns to a text frame. All I have to do is make a text frame. I'm going to switch to my regular selection tool. You don't actually have to do that part, but I'm going to switch to the regular selection tool. I like to get you in the habit of doing that. It does save you a lot of headaches later on. I'm going to go to the object menu because even a text frame is considered an object. Every frame is considered an object. So I'll go to object menu and not, well, it's about a third of the way down, not quite halfway down. Text frame options. And this is another one you're going to want to write down or memorize or get a t-shirt made. Command or Control B, as in make my text frame better. That's the best way I can tell you to remember. Text frame options, there's a plethora of information here. All we're going to look at this time is the number of columns. So we see the word columns, we see number, it's 1 column right now. We're going to assign 4 columns. And I can see my gutter isn't quite matching up with my measurements. So I'm going to up the gutter. So this is a document from me, so of course it's in points. I think I go with 18. Still doesn't match up with, I did some poor math there when I was measuring quite a while ago. So I'm assigning 4 columns to it. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. There are a lot of other things here, but this is all we're going to look at for now. And then I'm just going to assign or fill with placeholder text so you can see that there are 4 columns here. The pink is another issue, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. The only difference between the threading and not threading is if you need to put something on the page, maybe you want to put a photo right here in the bottom of these 2 columns. You can't just drag up the columns and put your picture because the type is gone on the left and the right. You would have to make a graphic frame and put a text wrap on it. With the threaded frames like we had on 2 and 3, you could, on C, excuse me, you could drag up and make a graphic frame below that, and it wouldn't interfere with your text. So let me put some placeholder text in there. So then your photo wouldn't be an issue. So I'll explain that a little bit more on here. I'm getting the graphic frame tool, that one with the X in the middle. I'm clicking and dragging, and I'm going to have to assign a text wrap to it to make the text go around the image. Text wrap is something we use a lot in InDesign. It comes up as a panel. I went to Window to find it. That's where we keep all of our panels. And I'm just going to pick that very first one, and it forces the text to go around that image. What I can do is I can drag and drop and apply different master pages into my document. If I want to add one full spread of a master, the left and right hand page the same, I grab the name of the master, drag and drop it when I see the vertical bar, and it puts in both a left and a right hand page, a full spread of that master. If I want to have a mixture, so I have 2 columns on the left here, I want to have 3 columns on the right, just drag a page down and drop it on the existing page, or add it by holding the mouse button down until you see a, it's not going to do it, there we go, a bracket with an arrow pointing to the right, and let go, and it adds a page. So then I come down a little bit, I've got a C on the left, maybe I put a D on the right, and then I've got another A and C. Let's put a D on the left and a B on the right. Okay, so there I've got a little bit of everything, right? Don't worry about A. A just had a couple of things on it. Okay, so a little bit more about masters that you're going to want to know. Okay, masters are there as a template. When you're working in your document pages, you're going to find that you can't actually select any of the content that is on the master page. This is a safety feature, okay? You can still place text into a frame that is locked on a master. It does work. But I'm going to show you how you can manually override an item from the master page so that then you could work on it. Like say I wanted to put a picture in this graphic frame from the B master on the left-hand page. Well, right now I can't select it. I zoom in a little bit. I don't know if you can see it because my screen is so light, but everything on a master page has sort of a dotted a dashed or dotted line around it. Even these little text frames and this graphic frame, even the X in the middle is a bit dotted. And I can't select it right now. If I want to override that, do an individual override, I have to use 2 keys. And this is what I refer to as the secret handshake. It's not a tool. It's not in a pull-down menu, and you're not going to know about it unless someone tells you. It also works in Illustrator, but it does some different things. In InDesign, the first use of this key combination is to override a master page item. On a Mac, it's Command-Shift, and on a PC, it's Control-Shift, and then click. As long as you're holding the keys down, you can click. You could also click and drag, and anything that falls within the area that you dragged over will become released. Then you can do whatever you need to do to it. Put photo in, image frames, also objects. We file place into them. Okay, it gets put into the frame, and I no longer see the X. That's kind of how the photos work, or the image frames work. So write down the Command-Shift or Control-Shift click is the way to override an item from the master page. This happens a lot, or is necessary, when you want to put a background in on a page and you're putting it on in the document area. On page 2, say you're putting in a bleed or an image, in the background, and it's going to end up covering up your page number. So what do? I think I already released it, but let's see. So what do? Well, first you gotta move your object, then you gotta release that. The Command-Shift click, and then under the object menu, we have some options that come right out of Illustrator. Arrange is one of them. As we're working, everything we put down on the page is creating a stacking order from bottom to top. So the first thing you put down is the bottom of the stacking order. The last thing you put down is at the top of the stacking order. So we just need to tell this to come to the front, bring to the front. Then I can put my colored box, my background in place, and my page number is not covered up. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go to my masters, and so I have something on each of my masters. I'm going to make this a little bit longer, I think. There we go. So we can see I've got some different things going on. Let's see, let's put a D here. There we go. All right, so we have a little bit of everything. I'm going to go to page 4 or 5, I think. Okay, so I know that the master items are there. Okay, I know that they're safe, they're locked down. If I want to release one, I got to hold the secret handshake, the 2 keys, and click. So I'm going to select this polygon that has red in it, and I'm going to move it to a new location, and I'm going to scale it down in size. So I moved it and I changed the size. Now that was a D master. I'm going to go back to the D master in my master pages. I'm going to see that it has had no effect on the master page. What is happening is there's been an override, but there's still a connection to the master page. I will illustrate that by changing the color of the polygon to this Pantone color, wherever that came from, to this blue Pantone color. Now, if I go back to my page, page 5, I see that the polygon has changed color. It still has a relationship to the master. The child has moved out to go to college, but they're still calling home for money. There's still a connection there. If you want the child to be completely disconnected, you could just delete the item, or if you're going to use it but in a way that's not conventional to the master, go to your document page, and in the Pages panel option menu, choose, let's see, Master Pages, detach selection from master. That completely severs the ties. So junior has to graduate, get a job and an apartment, and now they never call. So now you wish there was a connection, right? You can remove all local overrides. Let's see what happens then. It puts it back, but it kept the released object there. Okay, so I'll undo that. Okay, so completely severed. So now if I go back and change that, let's go with yellow. We didn't use yellow. There is no connection to the child anymore. They are out on their own. And so master pages work really, really well for a lot of things. Now, if you're going to create a master yourself, I highly recommend either using the document pages, building it there, then selecting the left and right hand side and saying in the panel option menu, master pages, save as master. That you can do. Or you can simply go with nothing planned here in the document area. Simply go to the panel option menu and choose new master. So it's going to take you to a dialog box. It's going to stay in alphabetical order. It's going to keep going all the way to Z, then it will start again with A, B, B, or you can change that. I usually leave the prefix exactly where it is. All right, the name I'm going to change. I'm going to call it whatever it happens to be. So this will be my chapter opener. So give it a name that will make sense to you when you're working in your document. It asks you if you want to base it on an existing master. And yes, I want to base it on the A master so that I get that auto page numbering and the little detail, the footer at the bottom. Number of pages, generally speaking, it's going to be a spread. Sometimes you're just going to design one page, but I will warn you against that because InDesign gets confused when you make one page that's a left-hand page and then you use it on the right-hand side. It's better to design 2 pages so that you can put your page numbers, your running footers in the right place. You get your gutter right in the middle there or in the inside. It's best to work with 2 pages and just pull down one page or the other as you need it. Okay. You could change the page size. This can be different from the rest of the document if you so choose. You could change the orientation. Again, it would just be this particular master, but I'm going to leave that all the same and click OK. And it takes me to my new master up here, chapter opener, and now I can start making changes. I'm going to talk about guides just a little bit. I know we really need a break, but I'm going to talk about guides just a little bit here, and then we'll take a break. Guides come from your rulers. So there are rulers at the top and on the left side. If you don't see rulers, then go under the View menu and then choose Show Rulers. The keyboard shortcut is Command or Control R, and that works in all of the Adobe programs. All right, the rulers are pretty simple. They work really well in InDesign. I really like them here. They're not so good in Illustrator, and they really suck in Photoshop. Basically, you click inside the ruler with your cursor and drag down to make a horizontal guide. On the left, you will see in that ruler, it's showing you where on the ruler it's stopping. Now we're in points, so it's going to look foreign to you. 72 points is 1 inch, so we'll just go right there, plop. Okay, if I didn't get it in just the right place, I can select the line and then go to my control panel at the top. It's showing me the Y value. So say I wanted it to be at 76 points instead. I just type it in, hit return, click up or down. It moves that ruler for you. Illustrators are hard to move after you've dropped them. If you want to add a guide that's vertical, you go to the side ruler, the left side, click and drag out, and drop it wherever you want to drop it. On your screen next to your cursor, there should be a little readout until you let go of that. So I'll let go, and we'll see my guide is there. I can also see it up here in the control panel. That's now the X value. I'm going to put it at exactly 144 points. Type it in, hit return. When you deselect it, it looks cyan. When it's selected, it looks more blue, more of a real blue. Okay. Guides are pretty easy to use. You can drag and drop as many as you like. And in InDesign, it's intuitive. If you have objects on the page and you go to a regular selection tool, click and drag to select some objects on your page, it does not select the guides. It only selects the objects, which is good because that's all I really wanted to move. Illustrator selects the guides and moves the guides too, and that's not what we want. So InDesign's already more intuitive. It knows to select either the object or the guide. If you want to select just guides, you can do that, but no objects can fall in your drag, or it will select the object instead. Let's say you're not good at math. Okay, that's me. Let's say you want to measure 72 points from the spine in, so to the left. How am I going to do that? Look at this I don't know what that number is. That's a lot of math. I don't want to do that. What I can do is reset the 0 point of the rulers. The 0 point is where the two rulers intersect in this upper left-hand corner. It looks like the two little ruler lines are in it. In that little intersection square, I click and drag down and drop my guides, my rulers, where I want to measure from. So I'm going right to the spine and the top of the margin. If you look closely, my 0 point is now at the top above the spine, and the 0 point on the left is now at the top of the margin. So now I can measure backwards. Get my ruler, measure out. Here's 72 points from the spine. Oh, that worked well. I could do it on the other side as well. Oh, because I don't have to do math in my head. That's beautiful. I love it. Super fun. And you can keep repositioning the 0 point as many times as you need to measure whatever you need to measure. Designers measure everything. You get everything perfect, and then you turn off the guides and you eyeball it from there. But start with perfection and then look to change it up a little bit. That's my advice. All right, that's been fun. Let's reset our zeros. We can do that. Go back to the intersection where the two rulers meet and double click inside that little square, and your 0 points reset to the upper left-hand corner, and all of the rulers in the Adobe programs will work the same way. Let's say that isn't what you want. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go to, I believe it's View, Grids and Guides. I'm going to, Grids and Guides. I'm going to delete all the guides on the spread. I want to show you another way to do it. Okay, so all the guides that I added are now gone. Another way to put guides on your page, and maybe even use a grid, is to go to the Layout menu. On your master page, go to the Layout menu. There's an option here about 4 down that says Create Guides. Designers use grids all the time. It helps us know where to put things. What you can do is turn on the preview so you can see what's happening as you're working. You can do a number of rows. I'm going to do 4 rows. It gives you a gutter between them. I don't actually need that. I don't want that. So I'm going to put my gutter for the rows at 0. I'm not going to push OK. I'm going to go to columns in the number area. Columns in the number area. Okay, so I want to do 3 columns. Again, I don't exactly need the gutter at this time, so I'm going to take that down to 0. You certainly can have a gutter. You certainly can include it. That's all up to you. But I find it easier to work if I could see my intersection points, then I know where the points of interest might be in my layout, and it helps me to divide up the page visually. At the bottom, you have an option of measuring from the margins, dividing from the margins only, or across the entire page, and that looks a little different because now this square includes the margin area. So does this one, but this one in the middle doesn't. So it doesn't look as balanced to me. I usually go with the margins. Now, if you apply these and then you come to realize that you need a change, come back to the Create Guides menu, and right here, remove existing ruler guides to keep from adding too much junk to your page and making it harder for you to deal with. So right now, I'm going to go with margins. I'm going to click OK. I've got all these great areas marked off. I could even start, maybe I put an image there and a color here. I can divide it up, or maybe I have columns below and a big picture up here. It helps me divide things up visually. I'll have to get some gutters in there, but at least it's given me a start, and it's helped me divide it up visually a little easier. So that is how I would recommend making a master page of your own. Then you can apply it to any of your document pages. Snap to guides is a bare minimum of what you would need here. There's also things like hide your guides, which is Command colon. I just say colon because it is also the colon key. Command colon or semicolon or Control colon. And that's the same in Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop to hide the guides temporarily and then use the key command to bring them back. So that works really well too. And then you can lock your guides if you need to. Guides and grids, you can lock them. I think it's a good idea to lock your guides or put all your guides on a layer and lock the layer. So then nobody's moving your guides on you when you're not expecting to. So there's a whole bunch of choices here to kind of help you out. You can import masters from other InDesign documents. Let's see. So under the panel option menu of pages, master pages, there's load master pages, and it would just take you to a browser where you would navigate to a InDesign document that has master pages in it that you would like to use in this document, and it will bring them over. You can select unused masters and delete them. That's absolutely fine, but there's a whole lot of controls right in the Pages panel option menu that has to do with your master pages.